She saw the human fight barehanded and whispered, "I wish he was mine, HFY." Their leaders were chosen through combat. Even their children learned to fight before they learned to read. Humans, by comparison, were seen as fragile. They were allies, yes, useful thinkers, clever engineers, good negotiators, but fighters. No one believed that, not truly. That belief was about to be tested. Commander Seelan stood above the arena, her tall form still and composed. Her dark armor shimmered faintly under the lights, etched with symbols of rank and victory. She had earned her position through dozens of battles, each one leaving scars hidden beneath her armor. Her eyes moved across the arena floor, already bored. This was meant to be a simple diplomatic display, a ceremonial trial between Carthan warriors, meant to honor the alliance with Earth. Humans were guests, observers, nothing more. That was how it was supposed to go. Below, Carthan champions entered the arena, each clad in heavy combat armor. Energy shields flickered softly around them. Their weapons gleamed, tuned for controlled but decisive combat. The crowd responded with approval. Then the unexpected happened. A disturbance broke out near the human delegation. Seelan narrowed her eyes. A human male had stepped forward. He was not tall by Carthan standards. He wore no armor, only a dark uniform torn at the shoulder. His hands were empty, no weapon, no shield. His posture was calm, almost relaxed. Murmurs rippled through the arena. "What is this?" an elder demanded from behind Seelan. She did not answer immediately. She was studying the human. His name was Elias Ward. She knew that much. A security escort assigned to the human ambassador. Nothing remarkable on record. No battle honors, no elite status, just a guard. A Carthan official shouted down toward the arena, voice sharp with irritation. "Human, return to your place. This trial is not for you." Instead, he spoke calmly, his voice carried through the arena by translation fields. "Your challenger struck one of our delegates. I stepped in. By your laws, that makes this my responsibility." This was an embarrassment waiting to happen. The alliance was fragile enough without a human being crushed in public combat. "Let him withdraw," one elder said. "This will end badly." "Barehanded," the champion said. "Do you surrender before we begin, human?" "The trial proceeds," she said. The crowd erupted. The champion advanced immediately, confident and aggressive. His first strike was meant to end the fight quickly. A wide swing of armored force aimed at Elias' chest. Elias moved, not back, not away, to the side. The blow missed by a narrow margin, cracking the arena floor where Elias had stood a heartbeat earlier. Gasps rose from the stands. The champion snarled and struck again, faster this time. Again, Elias avoided the hit, slipping inside the armored reach. His movement was tight, controlled, efficient. He was not dancing, he was calculating. Seelan felt her attention sharpen. This was not luck. The champion grew angry. He swung harder, putting his full weight behind each attack. The crowd roared approval, expecting the human to fall any moment. But Elias did not fall. He ducked, he shifted, he redirected. Then he struck. His fist slammed into a joint in the armor, not with brute force but precision. The impact echoed sharply. The champion staggered, surprised more than hurt. The crowd went silent. No one had ever struck a Carthan champion barehanded and made him step back. The champion roared and activated his energy shield fully. Light flared around him as he charged. Elias was hit this time. The impact threw him across the arena floor. He slid, rolled, and came to a stop near the edge. A sharp intake of breath moved through the stands. Seelan's jaw tightened. That should have ended it. Slowly, Elias pushed himself up. Blood ran from a cut above his eye. His breathing was heavier now, but he stood. The champion stared at him in disbelief. "Stay down," the Carthan growled. "You are finished." She had seen many warriors rise after being struck, but this was different. This was not pride, not rage, it was refusal. The fight resumed, slower now. The champion was cautious. Elias was wounded but sharper, more focused. Each movement mattered. When the champion tried to grapple him, Elias used leverage, twisting free and forcing the larger warrior off balance. The crowd could barely follow the exchange. Then Elias struck again, this time with his elbow, then his knee, targeting weak points again and again. The champion roared in pain and fury. Armor cracked. A visible fracture spread along the plating. Seelan stood without realizing she had moved. Impossible, whispered part of her mind. And yet it was happening. The champion stumbled, one knee hitting the ground. The arena was utterly silent now. Elias stepped back, chest rising and falling. He did not press the advantage. He simply waited. The champion looked up at him, eyes wide, not with hatred but with shock. No human had ever stood like this before. No human had ever fought like this. From her place above, Seelan felt something she had not felt in years, respect. And beneath it, something far more dangerous. As the champion struggled to rise, Elias took a step forward, not to strike, but to offer his hand. The crowd erupted into confused noise. The champion hesitated, then took it. Together they stood. Seelan stared down at the human who refused to fall, who fought without weapons, who offered mercy instead of dominance. Her voice was barely a whisper, lost in the noise around her. "I wish he was mine." Even after Elias Ward was escorted away for medical care, no one spoke. The Carthan people had watched many battles, but they had never seen a human stand barehanded against armored strength and refuse to fall. Commander Seelan stood still at the edge of the viewing platform. Her hands were clasped behind her back, but her thoughts were anything but calm. A human had changed everything. In the healing chamber below the arena, Elias lay on a low medical platform. Carthan medics worked carefully around him, surprised by how little damage his body had taken. Broken ribs were expected. Crushed organs were expected. Instead, there were only deep bruises, strained muscles, and one cracked bone in his forearm. "He should not be conscious," one medic muttered. Elias opened his eyes anyway. He felt pain everywhere, but it was familiar pain. Pain he had learned to work through long ago. He slowly sat up, ignoring the warnings flashing in Carthan symbols above him. "Easy," a voice said. Elias turned his head and froze. Commander Seelan stood nearby, her helmet removed. Without it, she looked less like a warrior statue and more like a living being. Her eyes were sharp, but there was something uncertain in them now. "You should still be resting," she said. "I've rested before," Elias replied calmly. "I'm still here." And because running wasn't an option. "A single fight means nothing," a third insisted, though his voice lacked confidence. Seelan entered the chamber and took her place among them. "It means everything," she said. The room fell quiet. "He fought by our laws," she continued. "He accepted the trial. He showed restraint. And he showed strength without relying on machines." "Yes," Seelan replied evenly, "but not hostile." Later that cycle, Elias was escorted to a guarded residence near the embassy. Guards followed his every move, though they kept a respectful distance now. He noticed the change. Where there had once been mocking stares, there was now caution, curiosity, even fear. Seelan visited again the next day. "You are not free to leave," she told him honestly. "I expected that," Elias said. "There are those who want to test you again," she continued. "Not in ceremony, in proof." "Then I won't refuse." Elias was struck hard, thrown to the floor, and pinned before he could recover. The session ended immediately. Seelan raised a hand before anyone could speak. "Again," she said. They fought again. And again. Each time Elias learned. He adjusted his movements, his timing, his breathing. He studied how Carthans shifted their weight, how their armor limited certain motions. He was not stronger than them, he was smarter. By the fourth session, he was no longer being overwhelmed. By the sixth, he forced a stalemate. Seelan felt a strange pride watching him. She began training with him personally, not as a commander, as a warrior. Their sessions were intense but quiet. No unnecessary words, no dominance games, only focus. Elias noticed things about her too. How she never wasted movement, how she protected others instinctively, how she carried the weight of her people without complaint. One evening, after a long session, they sat in silence. "You could have been a conqueror," Seelan said suddenly. Elias shook his head. That's not who we are." Those words stayed with her. The elders made their decision soon after. Elias would face a formal challenge, not a single warrior, a squad. If he survived, humans would be recognized as true warrior allies. If he failed, the incident would be labeled an anomaly quietly buried. Seelan was furious. "This is not justice," she said. "It is balance," an elder replied. "And risk." The arena filled once more, but the mood was different now. No laughter, no mockery, only anticipation. Elias stepped into the arena alone. Across from him, 5 armored warriors stood ready. High above, Seelan watched, her hands clenched. This was no longer about pride. This was about survival. As the signal to begin sounded, Elias took a slow breath and set his feet. The galaxy was watching. And whether they liked it or not, humanity was about to be tested again. The arena felt different this time. Before, it had been loud with pride and mockery. Now it was quiet, heavy, and tense. Thousands of eyes watched the open floor, but no one spoke. Even the elders sat still, their faces serious. Elias Ward stood alone at the center. He wore no armor, no weapons. Only a reinforced training uniform that barely hid the bruises still fading from his body. His forearm had been wrapped, but his hands were free. Across from him stood 5 Carthan warriors. They were not champions chosen for show. They were veterans. Squad fighters trained to work together, to overwhelm enemies quickly and without mercy. Their armor was darker, their movements sharp and practiced. This was not a test. This was a decision. High above, Commander Seelan stood at her post. Her expression was calm, but her heart was not. She had argued against this. She had warned the elders. They did not listen. The signal sounded. The squad moved instantly. 2 warriors rushed forward, spreading wide to cut off Elias' movement. The other 3 advanced slower, weapons ready, waiting for an opening. Elias did not charge. He stepped back, eyes scanning, breathing steady. The first strike came fast. An armored fist aimed at his head. Elias ducked, feeling the air move above him, and rolled sideways as a second blow slammed into the ground where he had been. He rose into motion, never stopping. The crowd watched in silence as Elias moved between attacks, not fast enough to escape cleanly, but just fast enough to survive. He took a hit to the shoulder, then another to his ribs. Pain flashed through him, sharp and bright. He stayed standing. The squad closed in, tightening their formation. This was their strength. Seelan's hands clenched. They were trying to end it quickly. Elias waited. When one warrior overextended, Elias moved. He slipped inside the armored reach and struck a joint with his elbow. The warrior staggered. Elias grabbed the arm and twisted, using the warrior's own weight to pull him down. The first Carthan hit the ground hard. The crowd reacted with a low sound of shock. The remaining 4 did not hesitate. 2 attacked at once, forcing Elias back. He blocked one strike but failed to avoid the second. He was thrown across the arena, skidding to a stop near the barrier. The impact stole his breath. For a moment he stayed down. Seelan leaned forward, fear cutting through her discipline. Elias pushed himself up, slowly, painfully. The squad hesitated. That hesitation cost them. Elias moved before they could reset. He closed the distance, staying close where their weapons were less effective. He struck quickly, not hard, targeting balance and timing. A knee buckled, armor cracked. Another warrior fell. Now there were 3. The elders exchanged uneasy looks. This was no longer controlled. This was history unfolding. The remaining warriors adjusted, spacing themselves wider. They attacked in sequence now, wearing Elias down. Strike after strike landed. His vision blurred. His body screamed at him to stop. He refused. He remembered Earth. Gravity heavier than most worlds. Training that pushed him past comfort. Long nights where quitting was easy but standing back up was not. He used that memory. When the next attack came, Elias caught the arm and pulled the warrior forward, slamming him into another. Both crashed to the ground. Only one remained. The final warrior stood still, watching Elias carefully. He was larger than the rest, more experienced. They circled each other. The arena was silent enough that Elias could hear his own breathing. The warrior attacked without warning, a powerful charge meant to crush. Elias dodged barely. He felt something tear in his side. Pain slowed him. The warrior struck again, faster. This time Elias was hit hard. He fell. The world tilted. Seelan felt her chest tighten painfully. Elias lay still. The warrior raised his weapon. "End it," an elder whispered. Elias moved. He rolled just as the strike hit the ground. He grabbed the warrior's leg and twisted with everything he had left. The warrior lost balance. Elias surged upward using momentum and drove his shoulder into the warrior's center. Both fell. Elias landed on top. He raised his fist. Then he stopped. Instead of striking, he placed his hand on the warrior's chest and spoke softly. "Enough." Medics rushed in, but he waved them off, forcing himself to stand. His legs shook. He remained upright. High above, Seelan felt something break inside her, not weakness, but certainty. The elders stood. "This changes nothing," one began, but another interrupted. "It changes everything." "You stood when logic said you should fall," she said clearly. "You fought without hatred, without cruelty, and you showed restraint when you could have ended it." Seelan stood nearby, silent. "You could have died," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "I didn't." Outside, messages flooded in from other systems, other species, other governments. The balance had shifted. Humans were no longer overlooked. They were no longer underestimated. Seelan realized something then. This was not the end. This was the beginning. And whatever came next, the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The arena slowly emptied, but the echo of what had happened remained. Across the Carthan capital, screens replayed the fight again and again. A human standing alone, 5 armored warriors advancing, and one human refusing to fall. The city had never seen anything like it. Elia's ward lay in a recovery chamber beneath the Hall of Trials. This time the room was larger, quieter, and guarded not by suspicion but by respect. Carthan medics worked carefully, their movements gentle. "He should be unconscious," one said softly. "He refuses," another replied. Elias opened his eyes anyway. Pain still lived in every part of him, but it no longer mattered. His body felt heavy, yet his mind was clear. Commander Seelan stood near the doorway. She had been there for hours. "You're awake," she said. "Seems that way," Elias replied faintly. She stepped closer, her posture less rigid than before. The armor she wore now was ceremonial, not meant for battle. Symbols of command marked her as one who spoke for her people. "The elders are in session," she said. "The entire council, other species are listening." Voices spoke in dozens of languages, translated instantly. The Carthan High Elder rose. "Today," he began, "we acknowledge a truth revealed through action, not words. We declare," the elder continued, "that humanity is recognized as a warrior species. They are no longer guests." No guards blocked their path. Carthan stopped as they passed. Warriors placed fists to their chests in silent salute. Some bowed their heads slightly, a gesture never offered lightly. Elias noticed. "They're afraid of me," he said quietly. Seelan shook her head. "No, they are afraid of what they misunderstood." The sky burned with soft alien light, ships moving slowly above like drifting stars. "You could stay," Seelan said after a long silence. Elias turned toward her. "As what?" "But duty does not forbid respect or choice." Other species reconsidered their stance toward Earth. Those who once dismissed humanity now watched carefully, some with caution, some with fear, some with admiration. Elias became a symbol, though he never wanted to be. He spoke rarely in public. When he did, his words were simple. "We don't fight because we love it," he said once. "We fight because we refuse to let others decide our worth." It was a symbol of command, earned through blood and discipline. "I cannot follow you," she said, "but I can stand with you." She leaned forward and pressed her forehead gently against his, a gesture of trust among her people. "For what it is worth," she whispered, "I no longer wish you were mine." That humans should never be underestimated again. It did not need greater numbers. All it needed was one human willing to stand barehanded and refuse to fall, and the stars would remember.